Thanks a lot for having me. So this is the result of a project I did at University of Duesseldorf, but now it changed to the Austrian Academy of Science. But nevertheless, I will talk about the blame game over Islamist antisemitism in Germany, a project I did with my colleagues Cemal Öztürk, Heiko Bayer and Gerd Pickel. So, to start, setting the scene, anti-Semitism between pan-ideology and externalization. 3 quick points. First of all, this is no surprise for all of you. Anti-Semitism, it's a societal problem and it's a pan-ideological threat which has in research long been recognized. Secondly, anti-Semitism research has to take into account the Jewish perspectives on anti-Semitism, especially since October 7th, but also long before October 7th, and the rising threat, the self-protective routines in the everyday life, and also thoughts regarding leaving Germany and how to deal with anti-Semitism in the day-to-day life are important topics, which brings me now to the last point here, the blame game over anti-Semitism and a more the discursive level. So what we can see is that different political camps exploit anti-Semitism for their own ends and also in their own interpretations. So on the one hand, on the right-wing sides, the Alternative for Deutschland, the AfD, weaponizes anti-Semitism, the buzzword of imported anti-Semitism, it's quite important here, so to scapegoat Muslims and refugees and also to derail the discussion from own anti-Semitism. So taking a look on the other hand to the left, we have the situation that anti-Semitism, especially Islamist anti-Semitism, is played down, and also Muslims are shielded from right-wing stigmatization, what also leads shielding from the discourse or the necessary discourse about anti-Semitism in Muslim communities. So this blaming every time the other side, the left blames the right and the other way around. It's quite an interesting phenomenon, and we took a deep dive into it with 3 main points. So first, taking into account the perspectives of Jews in Germany, how they perceive this blame game going on over anti-Semitism and especially Islamist anti-Semitism relating to the discourse on the so-called imported anti-Semitism. Secondly, taking a look to the mainstream society and the blame game which is going on there. So which are the threat perceptions of anti-Semitism in the mainstream societies and who is attributed for it? And lastly, how is this blame game connected to anti-Semitic attitudes? So is, for example, to recognize anti-Semitism as a pan-ideological threat, is it an antidote for anti-Semitic beliefs or just another alibi that it's like a more sophisticated externalization of anti-Semitism towards the lunatic fringe? So what we did is a mixed methods approach. So our qualitative pillar is based on 21 problem-centered interviews conducted with Jews in Germany, as you can see, before October 7th. And secondly, our quantitative pillar is based on the study done by colleagues in Leipzig on authoritarian attitudes in the German population. And combined this, we can just focus here, can answer these questions, and I don't go too much into detail in the methods. Feel free to ask any questions later on, because I think you're more interested in our results. So, first of all, just a quick overview. Anti-Semitism in the main German population, the prevalences you can see here. We have in the study, in the quantitative part, 3 different types: the traditional anti-Semitism, the secondary anti-Semitism, and the Israel-related anti-Semitism. And also this should be no surprise for all of you. In every case, the anti-Semitic attitudes are quite high. Sometimes when drawing a line under the past, it's right in the middle, nearly 81% approve this in a manifest or a latent sense. I don't go into further details due to time restrictions, and would first go to our more qualitative results. So first of all, the perceptions of Jews living in Germany regarding the blame game of anti-Semitism. And what's quite interesting, 3 quick points. Asking Jews on Islamist antisemitism in Germany, they differentiate. So on the one hand, imported antisemitism, or so-called imported antisemitism, is recognized as a real and pressing societal problem, lacking also understanding and acknowledgement on sides of the main society. And our interviewees, it's not a blanket suspicion or the threat regarding to Muslims. It's not that there is a blanket suspicion, but mainly a focus on radicalized Muslims. But on the same in the same talks and the same interviews, we find that it's not only a real and pressing problem, but also public discourse. And here we see quite harsh criticism on the right-wing blame game, so that it's more a tactical approach, externalizing anti-Semitism from the own ranks towards the Muslim communities. And on the other hand, in the left-wing blame game, that there is a lack of acknowledgement for anti-Semitism in Muslim communities, and anti-Semitism is just acknowledged when it's the autochthonous right who is anti-Semitic. So it's a debate conducted by Jews for non-Jews, and it's more driven by a moral self-reassurance than a real interest in fighting against anti-Semitism. So the blame game here for our Jewish interviews is pretty clear that it's there. And this starting from here, we took a look into the attitudes of the non-Jewish society. I just skip these 3 points because I would like now to do the deep dive into the quantitative approach. So our statistical findings, threat attributions in mainstream society. What we can see here is as following. So here, differentiated by different parties in Germany, we can see who is attributing anti-Semitic threats. So in total, anti-Semitism in the mainstream society in Germany, 67% of the respondents say the main threat comes from right-wing groups, 49% Jews are threatened by Muslims, and only 31% that Jewish people are threatened by left-wing groups. And this pattern is quite constant all around, except the far right, the AfD. As you can see here, 67% of AfD voters are seeing the threat for Jews, especially from Muslims. Quite interesting. Even 40% in regard to 31% of AfD voters still see that the threat from Jews from the right-wing groups, so right-wing groups also in cases of AfD voters are more prominent than left-wing voters, which is, I think, quite interesting to replicate this study nowadays after October 7th. I think maybe something has changed there. So, we differentiate different blame games we can find. So on the one hand here, it's the pan-ideological threat, so not a blame game, but the acknowledgement that anti-Semitism can threaten Jews from all different perspectives. Then the right-wing blame game, which is focusing only on threats from Muslims and from the left. And the left-wing blame game, it's anti-Semitism attributed only to the right. And as you can see here, just 17% perceive anti-Semitism as a pan-ideological threat coming from all sides. And this is, I think, quite interesting finding that not a majority, and as you can see, even the position that there's no threat from any groups whatsoever, 21% are responding with this category. And if we are asking who is playing which blame game, we can see here that especially voters among the AfD ranks are playing the right-wing blame game, while the more left-leaning parties, which is no surprise, playing the left-wing blame game, but also quite prominently the perspective that there's no threats at all from any groups, which is here on the left-hand side. It's quite prominent, but I think the blue part in the middle with 38.8%, it's quite striking that here, especially between voters by voters of the AfD, that we can see here this externalization of anti-Semitism. And what we did in the last step is focusing on the connection between the blame games and anti-Semitic attitudes, and for this we constructed two differential indexes. On the one hand, index differentiating between left-wing blame game and right-wing blame game on both of the extreme poles, and then on the other hand, one extreme is the no-threat perception with the pan-ideological threat perception, and here we ask whether this relates to anti-Semitic attitudes, and especially whether a pan-ideological threat perception is maybe an antidote for anti-Semitism or not. So if we take a look to our statistics, we can see there is a correlation between the right-wing blame game and anti-Semitism, but as we've seen earlier, between the AfD voters, there's quite a striking striking. I just showed you here the 38.8%. It's quite striking. And if we are controlling this in our moderation model, the main effect totally vanishes, and as you can see, it's the blue line going up. Here it's quite a moderational effect driven totally by AfD voters, which constitutes for the relation between the right-wing blame game and anti-Semitic attitudes. And what, in my opinion, is maybe the most interesting results of our research is that people who recognizing anti-Semitism as a pan-ideological threats coming from left-wing groups, right-wing groups, and Muslim groups, that this is not an antidote for anti-Semitism, that there is no correlation whatsoever between anti-Semitic attitudes and the recognition of anti-Semitism as a pan-ideological threat. So even people who are recognizing anti-Semitism as a societal threat coming from all sides are not immune to anti-Semitic beliefs. So in our understanding, it's more and more sophisticated externalization to all lunatic fringes of society. So also no antidote. We're finding no antidote here. And to conclude, just 4 quick points. First of all, for sure, and you all know this, anti-Semitism is a pan-ideological phenomenon, but the acknowledgement, only 17% recognize this phenomenon as such. And focusing on the Jewish perspectives, the blame games and quite righteous scenes so are more a moral self-exculpation or self-reinsurance, and it's especially interesting that the everyday perspective of our Jewish interviewees quite precisely pointing or quite precisely align with our main findings in the quantitative part. And here it's our main striking point. It's acknowledging the pan-ideological threat is not enough. it is here, at least in this data, more an alibi, because there's no correlation to less anti-Semitism whatsoever. And the last part, I think it's important to regard the Jewish perspectives on anti-Semitism, and especially also on the blame games regarding anti-Semitism, more seriously, taking Jewish perspectives more seriously, and also don't play the blame game just like a moral self-ensuring for the own political aims, the own political ends, but focusing on the pan-ideological threat from anti-Semitism from all sides in genuine solidarity. This is not only a claim by our interviewers, but also a claim we as researchers, I think, should focus on. And with this, thanks a lot.